We've been, programmed from birth to believe that growth is good. We should all seek it. So they just keep us fed with a steady stream of growth is good. How do we get more growth so that we don't question that? Yeah. So that propaganda is force number 2. And then force number 3 I found is there are some really interesting psychosocial phenomena that keep us from, they stand in our way. They keep us from really assessing the true nature of the crises that are before us. So even though we get the news reports about species extinction, we get the news reports about fisheries collapse, but where is the outrage?
Right. It's passivity.
Yeah. And so there's some real interesting things like bystander effect that kind of keep us just sort of going along with the crowd. I think the most interesting one, though, is called shifting baselines. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's that things change just slowly enough that we don't perceive them. We're really built to perceive changes that happen rapidly. And we don't tend to evaluate today's conditions based on the way they were 50 years ago or even 10 years ago. We sort of say, well, is it warmer today than yesterday? Or maybe if we're lucky, we might compare this year to last year. So the fact that the biodiversity has changed a lot in the last decade, we don't really notice that because it's just a little bit. It's a little bit at a time. It's that, the old adage that if you put a frog into a pot of boiling water, he'll sense the danger and hop right out. But if you put him into water at room temperature and slowly raise the temperature, he won't notice. Right. And it turns out that that's not true, which is good for the frog. So the real question is...
That is good.
Yeah. But the question is, who is smarter, the human race or frogs? And so far, I think the frogs are winning because we tend to not notice that the water is slowly heating up.
Yeah, that's so true. When something happens really gradually, even like with our food supply with GMOs. I mean, GMOs were introduced how many years ago into our food supply?
12 years ago.
10, 12 years ago. And they were gradually released into the food supply. And now, 70, 80% of everything in the grocery store is, it's like, how did this happen? Well, it's been happening gradually.